The Lotus Sutra is important in a few ways. One is that it fundamentally asserts the truth of the one vehicle, the same way Dogen Zenji asserts one vehicle. There's only one thing. It's our truest, most important reality. But how we approach it and how we open to that experience can be variable. And so the Lotus Sutra is very much, interestingly enough, about the path of awakening. It's about the different ways in which people move through the process of awakening, and the way in which the Buddha himself taught, pointed to, offered teaching and instruction and even opportunity in very, very different ways. So we talk about the one vehicle, and we also talk about the provisional. There's this one very important story from the Lotus Sutra where it says, a very wealthy man owns an old house that's about to collapse, and to make matters worse, a fire breaks out that will most likely destroy it completely. He's terribly distressed because his children are playing inside, and they're so engrossed in their games they do not notice. He calls out to them, but they do not understand they're in great danger. Only when he tells his children that there are presents waiting for them outside of the house, things that they will surely enjoy, goat, deer, ox carts, they dash through the door to safety. What they find, however, is something that far exceeds their expectations. A large carriage for each one of them, beautifully decorated with precious jewels and drawn by a strong white ox, which of course is a metaphor for realization of the absolute, if you will. The father had to resort to upaya, or expedient means, sometimes referred to as skillful means, to make his children get out of the house as quickly as possible. He promised them things they could easily relate to. But what he ended up giving them was something that they would never have been able to imagine. And so this idea that what we're really endeavoring to realize, of course, is this indestructible nature, which is ungraspable, unconditioned, unknowable. And how do we actually come into that recognition? How do we really begin to see that in a way that's real and true and durable? And we can think about it, we can sense it, we can intuit it, we can have powerful glimpses. And over time, we can have a sustained experience of that being true. And the challenges of life and the loss of loved ones in the face of illness and tremendous difficulty, this is really for me at least, where the treasure is revealed, in the sense that suddenly life is fundamentally, we can do it. You remember when we studied that book called There Was Light, and he was in the camps at Buchenwald, do you remember? And he was sick with every form of illness and was basically put into the infirmary to die. And in his illness, he was blind, as you recall, and he started to sense the inner light, if you will, was his language. The blindness and the light were very much the way he talked about this. And as he deepened and continued to realize, and even he used the metaphor of feeding on the light, that he literally was restored to health. And when he came out of the infirmary, he said the camps hadn't changed, but he had. And that there was a way that he could do it. It was now, Trungpa says everything is workable. He could be in the camps. He could attend to others who were ill. He could live his life fully under those conditions. And to me, that's just utterly remarkable. And when I hear those kinds of stories, it helps me cultivate even deeper faith in the practice, because it's certainly been my own experience. I've said this to you before, but I just marveled when my father was dying that I could literally, this person who was, I don't even know how to describe how much love and meaning our relationship had to me, and to watch him become a corpse, like literally to watch that happen. And one part of me not able to handle it, and another part of me unfazed and utterly capable of being present and utterly capable of moving through the whole thing. What is that? That is incredible. I remember the morning after he died making breakfast and thinking, wow, what is it that I can make breakfast? What is this part of me? That to me is just incredible. And the path is really about the one recognition, in absolutely inseparable from this very moment, from this very life, from everything that is happening, no matter how disturbed, how afraid, how devastated we are by the truth of the changeabilities, that our closest friends die, that our children suffer, that the planet is changing in ways that are just unfathomable to us. And the Lotus Sutra is pointing to that, but it's also saying that a good teacher, the Buddha himself, has to use all sorts of provisional methods for helping people at very different moments along the path.